You're watching WBZ News.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Courtney Cole. We continue to follow breaking news this afternoon. A Burlington police officer was struck by an SUV and seriously hurt. You're getting a look here from Sky Eye over the scene on Cambridge Street. Two officers were working a detail for Eversource. This is near a CVS pharmacy location when an SUV jumped the curb and hit one of them. The officer is Timothy Kirshner. He retired in June after 32 years of service with the department and remained on the force as a reserve officer. An early investigation shows it appears the operator was attempting to park when he accidentally hit the gas. So far, no word on any changes or charges. Also breaking this afternoon, the World Health Organization has declared an mpox outbreak in Congo and other parts of Africa, calling it a global health emergency. Officials say that there are several confirmed cases among children and adults in more than a dozen countries, with a new form of the virus spreading. The CDC in Africa says that it's been more than 500 deaths across the continent, and they're now calling for international help to stop the virus spread. Symptoms of mpox include flu-like symptoms like fever and chills, along with a rash and a fever that can take weeks to clear up. Tropical storm Ernesto has now been upgraded to a hurricane, bringing strong winds and knocking out power for residents in Puerto Rico. The storm is also expected to head toward Bermuda in the coming days and will impact our weather this weekend. We want to give you a look here out over the city of Boston right now. You're getting a look at a little bit of the skyline, a little bit of the Mass Pike as we make it maybe to and from our lunch break. But we want to know what's the rest of the day and the rest of the week, and of course heading into the weekend, what that's going to look like. So let's get you over to the next weather meteorologist, Jason Michael.
A really nice start to another Wednesday we've had, friends, earlier this morning. 60s here in the city and upper 50s out west here. And now that we're moving into the afternoon hours, the chance of us getting to the mid to low 80s is still a little bit sort of tossed up in the air. We're dealing with some veiled sunshine outside, friends, and mainly due to some of the smoke and even the haze that's kind of filtering into southern New England from the wildfires up north in Canada. So no threat to our afternoon commute or no threat to our exercise forecast later on this evening. Roughly around the 7 p.m. hour, you'll perhaps start to see a few sprinkles here and there. But again, as we cruise back down from the low 80s, moving back into the 70s, we'll land into the 60s overnight tonight under mainly clear skies. And this is what it looks like heading into the day for us tomorrow. A few clouds to develop in the afternoon, along with a spot shower, perhaps even an isolated thunderstorm. But again, if you're heading out later on this evening into the overnight, look up at the sky. You'll also be able to see Jupiter and perhaps even Mars. We're going to pick things up talking about the upcoming weekend. Stopping the clock there at 5 p.m. Already beginning to see some clouds develop behind me there. That is going to be one of two of our systems moving in to southern New England for the upcoming weekend, bringing with it showers and even some thunderstorms. I'll talk to you about those details coming up and a little bit later. Back to you.
Jason, thank you. A Chelsea man was arrested today in connection to a string of armed robberies in Weymouth, Jamaica Plain, and Hyde Park. Authorities tell us that 29-year-old Kewan Kelly is charged with 3 counts of bank robbery. Investigators say he got away with at least $20,000 before being caught, and in some cases, he even threatened the bank tellers. Kelly was taken into custody this morning and is expected to be arraigned in federal court this afternoon. We will have more details this evening on WBZ News starting at 5 o'clock. And the Tewksbury Police Department just released this new picture of the suspect who's accused of pointing a gun at a postal worker. The incident happened near Shawsheen Street and had the entire neighborhood on high alert as police searched for the suspect yesterday. Now, they have not been able to find him so far, so now they're asking for your help to track him down. So come take a good look here. If you recognize this person in the picture, please call police. Turning now to a look at some of our top stories that we're following this evening.
We are in Cambridge covering a really cool story about a group of teens helping their community. These young people built this structure you see behind me, helping to provide shade for young people. It's created by teens, for teens, and there's all kinds of things to do. There are beanbag chairs, hammocks to hang out in, and even at night, there are movies playing on a big screen. Just one thing to do over the summer and a really awesome way to stay cool. Coming up, we're talking to organizers, young people. You'll see it all right here on WBZ.
I'm Christina Rex here in Lexington. We're here outside of a strip of businesses on Massachusetts Avenue for a really tragic situation. On Tuesday afternoon, the fire department tells me it responded to a report of an unresponsive child inside a car here in the lot somewhere outside of this business. Now, the fire chief tells me that 1-year-old boy was transported to the hospital, but that he was non-viable and that he was pronounced dead at the hospital. This is an ongoing investigation and no criminal charges have been filed. But many of the people who work inside these businesses, as well as some parents who used to have kids at a daycare nearby, they're talking with WBZ and they're telling us just how tragic this is and how bad they feel about this awful situation.
I'm Beth Germano in Chelsea at La Collaborativa, a social service agency that has now become a lifeline for at least 70 people who were displaced in a devastating fire overnight, one of the worst in this city in terms of displacement. Here they are being given food, some temporary shelter, and applications to find more permanent housing. Many of these families have lost everything. The one choice some of them are finding now is being reunited with animals who are located at the devastating scene.
And this was that scene from Chelsea when a massive fire tore through an apartment building overnight. Now, this fire, it started while many people were still sleeping and it spread very quickly. WBZ's Penny Commit has details on the fire.
It's not easy to be sleeping and wake up to a catastrophe and the next day you don't have nothing.
Awoken from dreams to a nightmare. Chelsea Fire Chief John Quiteri says 40 to 50 people were sleeping inside this 18-unit apartment building off Washington Avenue when a fire broke out just past midnight.
We had heavy fire in the rear of the building on arrival. First arriving crews tried to get as many people out of the building as they could.
We lost our homes, everything.
Irene Alfaro, her mother and newborn baby made it down just in time from the 4th floor, but were forced to leave their pets behind.
I opened the door and all I see was the smoke. And I couldn't even see her face. She was just pulling me out there, take the baby. And then we were all trying to get out. And I tried to get my cats and I couldn't. They were 4 and I couldn't take them out.
With flames so intense, it took crews about 5 hours to put the fire out.
I saw the fire and I could feel the heat.
Juan Morales lives next door and says he ran into the burning building to save an elderly man living on the 4th floor.
I grabbed him and I put his hands around my shoulders and I assisted him down the stairs, and he was the last guy out.
That man was taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. Otherwise, no injuries have been reported. As the sun rose, damage to the building became even more apparent. Chief Quiteri says the entire roof collapsed and the structure is likely a total loss. Fire crews are now searching the building for hot spots to ensure that nothing reignites. Meanwhile, investigators are trying to figure out how this all started, and organizations like the Red Cross are stepping in to help. In Chelsea, I'm Penny Commit, WBZ News.
The city of Quincy has shut down a tent encampment. It was set up by a local church for migrant families. Now, a spokesperson for the city says that neighbors complained about the tents at Faith Lutheran Church. Health and fire inspectors told the church that the setup wasn't safe. That was on Friday. It comes as a new state rule for emergency shelters caused eviction notices to more than double, from 57 to 128 in just recent days, according to the Boston Globe. Turning now to Voters Decide 2024. We're only about 3 weeks away now from the Massachusetts primary election, so if you're planning to cast your ballot, make sure you mark your calendars too. Primary day is September 3rd. That's when candidates face a challenger from their own party looking to take their seat. The winners move on to the November elections. The deadline for voter registration for the primaries is August 24th. Minnesota Governor and Vice Presidential hopeful Tim Walz will be in Boston today to attend a fundraiser at the Newbury Boston Hotel. Local leaders, including Mayor Wu, will be in attendance. This will be Walz's first visit to the Commonwealth since joining Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential ticket. According to the Globe, the fundraiser has already raised more than $1 million as of last night.